I sent Europe back to the Dark Ages in Europa Universalis IV. Institutions and ideas have been changed in a very meaningful way that will make Asia the dominant technological powers of this timeline, while European primitives will be an afterthought. The Renaissance spawning in India, colonialism beginning in China, the printing press originating in Japan, all of those things are possible today. If you do enjoy the video, please make sure that you leave a like on it and share it with a friend because it really does help the channel grow. Now, when you take a look at this map mode, you're going to see no differences. Everything will look exactly the same. But then if you come over here and you click on this button here, the institutions map mode, this is where things start to look a little bit different. Nobody with Western tech or Eastern tech has feudalism in their country. And at the same time, everyone in the world other than them has feudalism embraced. And to add on to this, I changed the requirements to spawn a few of the institutions, namely Renaissance, colonialism, and printing press. You're going to see here that Renaissance, believe it or not, spawns in India in this timeline. Colonialism has the same requirements, but I went in and I tweaked the nations that are most likely to take exploration ideas. This time around, you're looking at Korea, Ming, Ayutthaya, and then a couple of random people in this general vicinity that I gave a little bit more of a reason to take, kind of like the Dutch or something like that. And you guessed it, printing press will spawn over in this vicinity as well. So what we're likely to see is a lot of green in this area and a lot of red/yellow in this area. And with these guys just decades and decades behind in technology compared to the Chinese and the Indians, we're certainly going to be seeing some interesting things. But the only way to uncover the secrets of the institutions is to speed 5 and unpause. And here it is in Kurda. The Renaissance has spawned, the birthplace of the Renaissance. Zooming out, you'll see Japan, Korea, China, India, Southeast Asia, all the way over into the Fertile Crescent and the steppes over here, as well as Arabia. The Renaissance is spreading. But yeah, sadly, Europe is still definitely stuck in the Dark Ages. Now, as far as how it spreads, basically, if it was something that applied to Europeans, I just switched it out with Indian/Chinese/Asians in general. So balance should be mostly the same, except shifted away from Europe. At least that's the goal. We'll see how that actually pans out in reality. And somehow, the Mad Lads in Lucca spawned Renaissance here. Definitely wasn't via development, so I don't really know how they did it. So they have Renaissance embraced, but without feudalism, their technology costs are still going to be very punishing. And it seems that Castile has indeed gotten feudalism, probably from the provinces that they stole over here from Granada. And those provinces has allowed it to spread over into Provence, which is now going to quickly allow it to spread into Italy. So it seems that it's only a matter of time before at least southern Europe starts to get feudalism. But it's going to be quite a while before we start seeing it up here in like Sweden, Norway, over into Russia and Lithuania. But one thing that does look pretty good over here is China. All Renaissance in China, Bengal, all the way out to Western India even. So things are looking good for them. Now this is what I'm talking about. Over here you got this Kamchadals 577, Ming 666, over to England 544. Yeah, these guys are definitely starting to fall behind in technology. And there it is in 1509 here. We had colonialism spawn in this province here in southern China. So that's pretty interesting. And remember, I tweaked the numbers. So colonialism is more likely to be taken by people like Ming, who has Explo expansion. Korea, who didn't take anything. But we do have an Explo expansion Bengal, Explo expansion Vijayanagar. Also Brunei took Explo expansion, as did Majapahit. And since the Pacific Ocean is so big, I expanded the requirements to be North, South America, or Oceania. And obviously those guys can get over into Oceania a lot easier than over here. As you can see, it is an absolute mess over here in Europe. Central and Eastern Europe is just sitting here at no feudalism, no Renaissance, no colonialism. Looks like Renaissance is starting to spread onto the British Isles and also down into Iberia. But it appears that Italy and France are both doing okay in terms of institutions. But you can see here, these guys are not the colonial powers in this timeline. Portugal going with religious offensive, Castile going with economic, England going economic, and France going economic. And the tech map mode is looking even more stark of a difference than it did before. Ming with that 999, and England over here with the naughty number 666. So clearly there is definitely a discrepancy between Asian and European. This is absolutely based and red-pilled. And I missed it, Ashikaga also went exploration expansion. So we're going to see some colonial Japan by the looks of it, exporting that anime over to the New World. sooner rather than later, beginning the weeb culture a couple millennia early. Also, it's 1509, we still don't have the Renaissance yet in Europe, but I don't know what happened over here. Styria has been released from Austria in its entirety, but they do have Hungary and Bohemia as personal unions. However, they're both disloyal, so probably not for long. We have a pretty good-looking Bavaria. You'll like to see that. I feel like you don't see the AI unite Bavaria as much like you used to. So this is good. I appreciate this. Poland appointed a local noble, so there is no PLC in this timeline. And it appears that the Ottomans are a little slow to launch, but they are definitely pushing into the Mamluks lands right now. Still nobody in the New World, but Oceania is filling in. We've got Bengali, Vijayanagari, and Ming, Australia. And a few islands here and there are filling in, so it's only a matter of time before the island hop over until the west coast. Yep, here we are, the Ming and the Japanese colonizing the Hawaiian Islands. And generally, I don't give a rip about it, but the Empire of China is actually churning. It appears that mandate is growing slowly but surely, and they've passed 3 of the 6 reforms. So Ming is actually doing quite well up to this point. I said Ming was doing well, and of course, cue the countdown until they absolutely just explode and collapse into like 15 different tags. It happened. It always happens, it seems, but at least it was delayed this time. Delayed long enough that we've got some colonial endeavors in the New World, namely Ming Cascadia, Ashikaga, California, Vijay, California, Malacca is down here in Mexico, and it appears that Spain decided they wanted to go colonial. Better late than never, I suppose. In today's episode of Playing Outside of Europe, you've got a very beefy Switzerland, a Hanover has formed, Bavaria and Styria ate Austria. Sweden also ate all of Norway and all of Denmark except for 2 provinces. Well, there's a couple extras over here, but we don't really count them. Great Britain is united, France is having a pretty solid game overall, and without the ability to colonize early on, it seems that Spain focused a bit more on conquest all the way down into Tunisia and northern Italy. Pretty solid. Ottomans are doing their Ottoman thing down into the Nile Delta, all the way into the steppes, and all the way bordering Mesopotamia. We do have a Persia that formed, so that's always a tag that I appreciate seeing. India is being split primarily between Bengal, Balmanis, Vijayanagar, and Delhi up there in the north. The Reformation is also upon us. Protestantism extremely weak, but Reformed having a good game. It seemed that English decided to go Protestant before then switching over to Anglican, so that's interesting, I guess. And we do have the printing press spawned over here in Jinju in southern Korea. After that, basically any institution can spawn anywhere. And so the question is are these guys going to be ahead enough technologically as well as with their colonial stuff that they're going to be able to get into Europe? Because I don't know about you guys, but I think a little bit of like Ming in Europe or maybe a little bit of Vijayanagar in Great Britain, that sounds good to me. The printing press has been embraced for the most part everywhere in Asia as well as Oceania. It's growing a bit over here in the New World in the colonies, which is good. Africa has a couple of provinces that are starting to slowly pop it in here over time. And same with Europe, so it looks like it's going to be here eventually, but it's going to take a bit of time. And speaking of Europe, how about that Switzerland? I love seeing a Switzerland doing well. I feel like you don't ever see it doing well. I feel like the AI is designed to just stand there and do nothing, kind of like Switzerland in real life. But hey, I'm happy to see it. I remember that used to be the joke on Drew's channel back in the day that he was Switzerland because, you know, he was neutral. He just observed. He just watched what was going on. I kind of appreciate that sentiment. I think it's funny. And another guy who's not neutral is, oh my gosh, this Ottomans is enormous. This Ottomans looks like the Ottomans in my Carthage video. Absolutely massive. And aggressive, apparently, because they are beating the tar out of Spain, who recently just lost a war to Switzerland. So, yeah, it does not look like Spain is doing well. Poland is migrating up north because the Ottomans keeps on kicking them out. Russia has grown quite a bit and is now all the way over into Siberia. And China is just an absolute mess of border gore. Somehow, Dai Viet decided they wanted to make a detour from Vietnam and go up into Tibet. Delhi ranges from Tibet all the way over to Persia. I'm not going to ask questions. I think it looks fine. And as far as colonial stuff, the West Coast is filling in. Ashikaga has Alaska locked down, as well as Northern California with the southern parts going to VJ. Though it does look like VJ's California subject is currently fighting for its life from Ashikaga. Korea just went Super Saiyan and just started gobbling up all of China. Like absolutely every bit of coastland is all theirs. They're like the Croatia of Asia. Got a little bit of a ring to it, kind of rhymes, yeah? Also, this might be really dumb of me, but I don't think I've ever seen the Tonkin tag before, so it's Tonkin time apparently. I'm cool with it. Also, don't think I've ever seen this Cirebon province. That's also a vanilla thing that I've never heard of. Cool. The East Asian colonial tags continue to grow, though Vijayanagar, California has been pushed out of California by Ashikaga, California, and is now tied up with their Mexican colony down in Mexico. But we do still have Ashikaga, Alaska doing strong over here. Now, of course, whenever I do one of these videos, I'm hoping to see some wacky stuff, and yeah, we definitely can see some wacky stuff. A rare tag alert over here, Andalusia has formed, and even better yet, perfect name placement. France ended up gobbling up northern Spain, all of France, the lowlands, and a ton of northern Germany, as well as Scandinavia. And you know you're playing EU4 if you see the Ottomans absolutely just dominating half the world. They look exactly the same as they did in my Carthage game. We gotta do something about this. They can't keep getting away with this. Korea is absolutely massive. I don't know if their dev is that high, but yeah, they're definitely looking pretty good. They didn't change their borders a whole lot, but yeah. They're the strongest power in Asia at the very least. I mean, at least they can compete. Bengal and Deccan over here are also extremely powerful. And Deccan, I feel like you don't see them very often, but we've seen them in a recent video as well. So maybe they're not as rare as I was thinking they were. We have a Persia over here who's done pretty good for themselves. So shout out Persia. We got a Hindu Australia over here that was independent, but apparently some of it got eaten up by Deccani Australia, who decided to go colonial as well. So you can see here we've got a Spain. More on that in a moment. But they are right next to Spanish La Plata, their colony. Other than them, British and French got into South America, but North America is a different story. North America is overwhelmingly pink, Ashikaga, Alaska and California to be exact, with a little bit of Mexico mixed in. However, the 13 colonies, Newfoundland, British Mexico, and a new Andalusia are also here. I swear I have never heard of these guys before I started doing these videos. Maybe that just goes to show how much I pay attention, but these guys have such a cool flag. I love their flag. I have decided that Kasanji is now officially my favorite tag in EU4, better than Benin, if you can believe it. And the great powers in the end, no surprise at all, the Ottomans well out in first place, and it seems like France did pretty good as well. Even with all of these nerfs, the Europeans still came out ahead. Korea, Deccan, Persia, Bengal all would have benefited from the bonuses that I gave them, but none of them were able to crack the top two. That's still respectable. Still respectable. I will give it to them. Andalusia and Great Britain finishing out the bottom two of the great powers. And we have no hegemons today. Well, that was certainly a fun one. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did as well. If you did, make sure you let me know by leaving a like on the video and subscribe for more like this in the future. If you want to join my Discord and see what's going on over there, or join the subreddit, those are both linked in the description below the video, as well as my Twitter if you want to follow me over there. I do also have a Patreon. If you want early access to these videos, you'll get early access to every one of them for as little as $5 a month on Patreon. So consider supporting. Check it out, linked in the description. If you have any fun ideas or suggestions that you want to see in the next video, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check it out. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you for today. Till next time, stay chill.